Infrastructure alone is not sufficient. Essentially, we have partnered with Trade Connect to layer the payment layer on top of the infrastructure. We have signed with the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to be their operationalization partner for trade. But broadly, what we do is an interoperable payment layer, such that it's not about goods moving and services moving, it's ensuring the completion of transaction. On top of that, Your Excellency, we have layered a layer of financial products, trade finance products, so that truly we facilitate, we ensure that trade has no barriers. Essentially, Your Excellency, we have also done financial products. How can we create warehouses? As Felix said, we want this system to have African Continental Free Trade Area into Kenya, into Mombasa, into Nairobi. But how do we ensure we have the infrastructure you talked about? So Equity has also committed to build the warehouses such that once we identify what goods are required in the market, Kenyan entrepreneurs can import them and then distribute for the rest of the market. Your Excellency, I think where and I'm glad that we are given a chance to speak in your presence, was to seek that we partner with the Kenyan ambassadors. We give them a dashboard such that they really receive the trade inquiries from the countries they represent you. They key them on the system, and we receive that from home and respond appropriately. Mr. President, we can't assign your diplomats responsibility without you. Maybe the truth be told is that we're introducing a KPI to the diplomats on performance on promoting trade. I listened keenly as His Excellency spoke. And the subject matter I thought he could talk about the whole time was about geopolitics. He spent only 1 minute on geopolitics and quickly segued to the economic and trade diplomacy. And essentially, then that's what we are really creating the platform. If I summarize broadly what he talked about, he went quickly to the state of our economy, whether it is reserves, whether it's months of import held in reserves, whether it's the investment of the 2.9, whether it's the GDP and the size of the economy. Kenyans leverage and improve the quality of their lives on economic activities happening within the country. It's the economic activities that create employment. It's economic activities that create wealth. And if we could really give you support to be the face of the country in promoting export. The reserves he talks about is in foreign currency. We only earn it if we trade or we receive investment. Your Excellency, that is where we thought we could. But I think it touched me when you talked about savings. It's something that we have never really appreciated, that a country can never be better than its savings, because the maximum you can invest is equal to the maximum you can save. Your Excellency, you are very generous. Before you became president, the savings to GDP ratio was 8. It has increased from 8 to 12. And you can imagine what that will mean. When we can peak, I guess my data, yours is 55 for China, mine is 53. So it's 53 or 55 is the same, broadly. But you can see what it has done for the last 30 years. I think Singapore is at 54 savings to GDP, and that is what really fuels the investment. It is really great to see the investment the President have talked about. And I'm glad the foreigners are investing. But unfortunately, the truth is, the return to those investments will not be Kenyans. And we would stabilize our foreign exchange, because every time at the end of the year dividend is declared, we have to look for foreign currency to remit the dividend. We Kenyans must rise and be the owners of investments in our country. There is no shortcut to it. There is no shortcut. Lastly, Your Excellency, Mr. President, let me give a few examples of what I have seen truly as diplomatic convergence of diplomacy and trade and commerce. On Thursday, I was very privileged to be invited at state lunch. And when the president walked in with his guest, the president of Mozambique, the first business of the order was come close to where I was seated and introduced me and said, open a door for this young man to establish equity in Mozambique. That was the first order of, and truly, Your Excellency, just to report, on the week of 27th of April, I've been given an appointment. You can't, as a business person, you can't get such an appointment. In a country, you have no connections if you don't use our High Commissioner or our ambassador. That's the only way. What did that that just 1 minute introduction do? It gave me trust. I was endorsed by my country. I'm going representing a country. And that's really what the diplomats, that's the favor. I must say, Your Excellency, when we signed with Felix about partnership, I said, the first thing is to look for a trade hub that we could really anchor this global dashboard on. And we settled on UAE. I'm glad, Your Excellency, that when I went to UAE to ask for your ambassador, invited all the ambassadors of the region. Here he starts for lunch and tell them, we are opening a hub. It was not a Kenyan hub. It was a regional hub. And you can see that how difficult it could have been for me to invite ambassadors. Let me close, Your Excellency, and I apologize because we talked with the PS. You have worked very highly with France. And the France First Conference in Kenya on France-Africa Summit is happening. And together we have been working around and saying, what would this mean to Kenya from a business point of view? Your Excellency, the French government has appointed me to be the chair of the private sector and lead the private sector to come to Nairobi. But that is not the sweet thing, Your Excellency, is we have pushed it to Ambassador. What will be left in Kenya? And Your Excellency, I don't know, there's something I thought you could be project. I went to France and said, what will we really make money on that France understand? And we said, what about if we made tea, convert tea from a commodity to a lifestyle? And we worked with the Validity, the largest tea importer of specialty tea. And we brewed with Kenyan tea in form of wine. Then we invited them here. We created 16 specialty teas. Your Excellency, we have offered that during the state dinner on that day, you allow us to mix French wine and Kenyan tea for toasting. And in partnership between the private sector and the public sector, Your Excellency, and we could be willing to sponsor the entire dinner in appreciation of fronting the tea farmers. When we did the 16 products, we ended up negotiating a price of between $80 and $100 per kilo. That will be about 3,000 to 4,000 shillings per kilo of green tea. And broadly, what they will be willing to sign on that day is to open 249 shops in Europe to all stock Kenyan specialty tea. Your Excellency, you have done very well. The tea is now 100 plus shillings per kilo. But this transaction would make the Kenyan tea trade at between 3,000 and 4,000 shillings per kilo. But it will require us to do the GI, or geographical identity. We need to pass the law, and then the president of France has said he would toast with you. He will be holding the Kenyan tea, he will be holding and say, an alternative to wine, to French wine is the Kenyan tea. And Mr. President, now you will not be toasting with water. You will be so using it. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.